I love living in Houston, Texas. Come on, for the people that are going to come in the comments and say, "Oh, if you don't like it, you should move." I like it. All right, I love it. But it doesn't mean that there aren't things that I didn't know before moving here. And that's the point of these videos, so that people who are moving here can just be informed. Doesn't mean that they're not going to make that decision, but it's different when you're making a decision with all the information versus making it with half, 25%, 10%. Hello everyone, it's Ngozi and welcome back to Ejima. Today's video I'm going to be talking about what I wish I knew before moving to Houston, Texas, part 2. All right, so if you're interested in learning more about what I wish I knew before moving to Houston, Texas, make sure you stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Last year, I believe sometime in May, I just made a video. Was looking a little, when I watched back that video, I'm just like, this is why they say don't overthink things. Just had a list of about 7 things, made a video about what I wish I knew before moving to Houston, Texas. It's our #1 video right now on this channel. I'm going to link it down below. If you haven't watched it, you can still watch this one first. I'm going to put different things on it so there's no repeats, but continue watching this video, but watch that one later. There are a few things that I really focused on, traffic, culture, weather, things like that. So I'm not going to go and rehash it because it's supposed to, I'm trying to have new things that I've discovered since then. It's been like a year and a half of that. Was like initially I had just moved in February, a few months, like things that immediately jumped out to me. But it's now that I've been here almost going on 2 years, there are a few more things that have jumped out to me, and I'm going to go into them in this video. #1, lifestyle. I say it all the time, just because you're in the South or South Central, how people like to classify it, don't sleep on Houston, Texas, all right? Houston is a very fast city, 4th largest city in America. The pace here is on another level, even down to how people drive, okay? People are doing things here. So when I speak to lifestyle, I want to be specific because in my first video, part 1, I talked about like the culture, body, things I noticed like BBLs and things like that. When I'm speaking about lifestyle in this sense, I'm talking about more of nightlife, clubbing, the section culture. Coming up north, I wasn't as familiar with like you go out, you need a section everywhere. Hookah, like literally everywhere is like a hookah place. That was new to me, and it's something I've been discovering since I've been here. Another big thing is, according to the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime, Houston, Texas is the #1 city in America when it comes to human trafficking. And when I tell you how I realized it was that bad, is that when I had to renew my license for work this year, there was one mandatory course that everyone needs to take, and it was this 1 credit human trafficking course. And it actually was really impactful and insightful, and I learned a lot about it. For those not really familiar with what human trafficking is, I'm going to give you a definition. Human trafficking is the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of people through force, fraud, or deception with the aim of exploiting them for profit. All right? There's a difference between human trafficking and sex trafficking, but it can fall under it. But it's really big here, and I didn't know anything about that until I moved down here, started hearing some things about it, and then was forced to take a course on it, and that really opened my eyes. And a lot of times, it's not necessarily in the sense of, like standard, like prostitution or what people think. A lot of those people have someone forcing them to do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're just going out of their own volition. And I watched some stuff about it after doing my training. I was like, this is like it's a business, big business. I don't want to get too much into it because it's sad, but human trafficking is definitely a thing here. Lastly, I think some people would classify Houstonians as somewhat like materialistic, even going into one of like the really nice malls, Galleria. Like I remember going to Atlanta and hearing a lot about Lenox, and I went to Lenox Mall. I'm like, this mall is like, y'all need to come to the Galleria. And I think that, I don't know if it's a post-COVID thing, I don't know what's happened, people got money, but even there's a certain side of that mall where they have all the stores. And when you go there, you literally will see lines of people waiting outside to get into these stores, where there's Dior, Gucci, LV, Ferragamo, Bottega. And I'm just like, coming up from up north, like, I don't know. We had really nice malls too. Anyone knows Short Hills Mall? I used to work there. That's my mall. I really like it. I don't remember ever seeing that. Like, I don't remember that being a thing. Maybe like immediately after the pandemic, when they were really restricting how people could enter the store at a time. But on any given day, I go to the Galleria. It's always like so many people waiting to get into these stores. And I think that the lifestyle here, it's very easy for people to get caught up, men and women. Like, people like nice things. It is what it is. Like, people are always out. People like to go out. Of course, you know, you're going out, you want to look good when you go out. And for some people, that means, you know, spending a lot of money. So like I said, don't sleep. Don't think, oh, I'm coming to the South. People are walking around just wearing whatever they want and nobody cares. Nah, Houston is a different type of Southern city. Number two, I wish I knew about apartment locators, and I don't think it's necessarily specific to like Houston, I would say, but I'm just saying, coming from up north, it wasn't something I really had experience with, maybe because I didn't live in an apartment there, but other than that, it wasn't something I really saw a lot, even on social media. But I feel like coming down here, like there's so many companies, there's so many people that really like, this is like a work, like a business that they do to really help people find places to live. And I wish I would have taken advantage of that, you know, because as you guys know, my first apartment experience was terrible. I didn't see it in person. I still regret it to this day. It was bugs. It was nasty. And I feel like if I would have had an apartment locator, I would have had a better experience. So, you know, we do partner with a apartment locator agency. I'm Jordan Hawkins. If you guys are interested, please see the link below. You can fill it out, give all your information. They'll know that you found them through us, and they can help you find an apartment in Houston, Texas, if you are interested. Yes, I use apartment locator to get my current apartment, and I love it. No regrets. So happy I made that decision, but I just wish I knew about it back then, because I probably wouldn't have had the bad experience I had with my first apartment. Number three, kind of picking back off the lifestyle part that we mentioned, dating. Ooh, let me pull up my water. Ooh, I need a drink. I can say I stand on this hill. Before moving to Houston, I remember making a video, top 5 cities for single Black women, did very well. I'll link it down below as well. And I listed 3 cities in Texas: San Antonio, Austin, and Houston. Austin got so much, people were fighting over Austin. I don't understand why to this day. I mean, I do understand why, but it just wasn't that serious. I listed Houston, and I only visited Houston like a few times at that point, and I didn't really have the same perspective I have now living here almost 2 years. What I would say about dating, like I said, I didn't say men or women, because I've noticed from my experiences, I hear negative things equally from men and women. Like, it comes from both sides. They just talk about their horror stories, their bad experiences with the women and men. Like I said, I think a large part of it has to do with the lifestyle down here. People are very distracted. There's a lot to do. It's very easy to get caught up if you don't have discernment, you don't have self-control, and if you're not disciplined. It is what it is. Very easy to get caught up. But what I'm saying I wish I knew is not to say that I would not have moved here, because I love living in Houston, Texas. Come on, for the people that are going to come in the comments and say, oh, if you don't like it, you should move. I like it. All right. I love it. But it doesn't mean that there aren't things that I didn't know before moving here. And that's the point of these videos, so that people who are moving here can just be informed. Doesn't mean that they're not going to make that decision, but it's different when you're making a decision with all the information versus making it with half, 25%, 10%. So please don't be in the comments telling me I need to move back, because I can live where I want to, okay? Thanks in advance. But anywho, I feel as if coming into Houston, I was a bit more optimistic. It is not to say I'm negative now, because like I said, Proverbs 18:21, that's my verse. The power of life and death is in the tongue. But I wouldn't necessarily tell someone who's looking to have this fabulous dating experience to move to Houston. That's just my personal, and I wouldn't tell them to move anywhere, to be honest. There's not one place that you can tell me right now in America, one city that I would say, oh, this place is amazing. Because just getting older, what I realize is that some of these challenges are just a part of just being in the Western world in 2023. Is people are experiencing it everywhere. It's not to say that Houston doesn't have its issues, but it's not to say that other places don't have them, because it's universal to me. That's why I feel as if I just wish I had a better understanding of how men especially also feel. Because as a woman coming somewhere, I'm interested in how men feel and how they think in their experiences, because I date men, right? So a lot of it makes sense now, like a lot of their behavior and the things I've experienced, is because I personally think A lot of the men are scarred and jaded from these Houston girls. I don't want to lie, it's not funny, but these Houston girls, you know, and it makes sense now why some people think the way they think now that I know what I know and I have the knowledge that I have now. What I hear a lot, the women are very materialistic. They just want money. Yeah. And then the men, they're not serious. They play games. They're married, posing as single. They're married, posing as single. That's a big one. They're not honest, blah, blah, blah. And I definitely think there's other factors involved, like I'm Nigerian-American, so maybe a cultural thing. I don't want to speak on all the men in Houston. I don't have a lot of friends that are not necessarily Nigerian or black, so maybe their experiences are different. But no, even the few I have, they say the same thing. So I think it is I think it stems from living in a major city. Okay, I think it's the same issues that people in Manhattan have, people in LA have, people in Chicago have. You're going to have it in Houston because it is the 4th largest city. And I just listed the other 3 larger cities population-wise before it. So it's not unique to Houston. But I do think that because it's the South and people just have this idea, people are more family-orientated, people are more serious. They think, people would be more eager, it's conservative, people will be more eager to settle down. But that's not necessarily Houston. Maybe 2 hours from Houston. Maybe in a suburb where nothing's really happening. But in Houston, if you got a Houston zip code, you could relate to me. It may be a bit different. So that's just something to keep in mind. But like I said, everyone is going through it, and Houston is still a great city. So don't let that deter you, girl or guy. So number 4, what I wish I knew before moving to Houston, is probably the zoning laws. When I first moved here, I kept noticing just the way the buildings looked to me were just off. And we talk about this in our live videos. If you don't watch us, we usually go live. My sister and I, my twin sister, who I share this channel with, Nnena, on Tuesdays, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And we talk about this a lot. Like, there's a lot of, is it strip plazas? Yes, it is strip plazas. It's said is a strip center, strip plaza, type of shopping center common in North America where the stores are arranged in a row with a footpath in the front. Strip malls are typically developed as a unit and have large parking lots in front. Yeah, it's a strip plaza. And coming from up north, I wasn't really used to seeing that. We have standalone buildings. One. You will have a strip plaza. The club will be here. Dollar Tree will be here. Target will be here. The nail salon is here. Like, it just, the aesthetic. It doesn't really help the aesthetic if we're being honest. Like, it took me some getting used to it. I'm pretty used to it now, but I realized that that's because Houston doesn't have zoning laws. So commercial, like residential, other than just the strip plaza, that's different. That's actually units. But even just by the way that things are laid out, the layout of the city, you will have like apartment here, then you'll have a CVS, then you'll have like everything is like next to each other. Like, there's no like separation. Maybe when you start going to the suburbs, yeah, you have like the master plan communities, you have a bunch of houses, like, and it'll just be houses. But like within the city, things are so like mixed up, and I feel like sometimes it could throw off the aesthetic, but I'm here for it. That's something I wasn't aware of, and I didn't really understand why, but now that I know more about zoning laws, it makes sense. And then number 5, what I wish I knew before moving to Houston, Texas, I wish I knew more about the homelessness issue here. And I don't want to end on a bad note because it's the last point, but people are struggling. People are really going through it, and I'm telling you, I wasn't expecting this because I felt like, coming down south, more family oriented, the cost of living is lower. I didn't expect to see homelessness the way you see it, like in New York City, for example. Based on some research, Houston has dropped its homeless population by about 2/3 within the just last year. Like, I'm telling you, when I first moved here, it was bad. Like, every time I drove, everywhere I would go, even just parking places, you would just see homeless people in the parking lot, under the bridge. Like, I was not expecting this at all. As of now, they're saying there's about 3,200 people who are homeless. It's hard to really put these things in numbers. It's hard to really just count people. And in New York City, is saying 4,000. So Houston does have the homelessness issue. It may not be as bad as like LA or New York, but it just wasn't something that I was expecting. So of these 5 things, let me know which one shocked you the most. If you like content like this, please subscribe to our channel and look out for more videos in the future. I'll see you next time in another one. Bye.